Well, what are we going to do as artists when it's all white snow and gray outside, the wind is whipping through the trees, it's too cold to go out and paint? We've got to find some other places. I like museums because you can find very interesting museums to go and take pictures at or just draw right there. But I also have another favorite place I'll show you, and that's the grocery store. Come on with me, let's take a look. Well, if you're looking for some place to get some color to paint, here's the best place. You've got beautiful greens, beautiful reds, oranges, everything you want to paint. Produce sections are just great. Let's look further. Now just look at all these beautiful colors. I mean, you've even got purples and blacks. Look at those eggplants. Aren't those beautiful? And the peppers, look at all the different peppers. Look at those colors. I mean, you could do a still life with just peppers. They're really, really beautiful and colorful this time of year. Well, any time of year. And then you've got your greens. Look at the greens. Carrots, radicchio. I mean, even radishes. Even radishes are fun. Lettuces. Look at those beautiful beets. Look at that orange in the beets. Those are beautiful. And don't forget the stems. You've got some nice stems here too. But you could paint all kinds of things. You could paint cabbages. I'm looking for red cabbage and I don't see a red cabbage here. But you can do that too if you've got one. Here's another thing that's really nice to draw. The red onions. Look at the beautiful colors there. Those beautiful bright magentas. Really nice. And here's another thing I see. Pomegranates, one of my favorite things. I love the different colors you've got in there, and the blossom end. Really fun to paint when you take them apart. I might do one of those. You can go to a store like Lowe's or Home Depot and find lots of nice foliage to work with. You can take them home or take pictures of them. I mean, all kinds of nice things here. Pretty variegated foliage. Look at all the different shapes. Just some nice shapes to do. I love ferns. Ferns and just the round ones. Look at the stripes. Isn't that pretty? And the ferns. I love to do ferns and palms. So nice. Look at those crotons. I love the color there. There's all kinds of things you can find to paint close to you. You really don't have to go far. The floral section is another section where you can find lots and lots of color in the winter. And what you can do if you don't, want to actually buy a bouquet is just to take pictures of the flowers and then come home and paint them. But of course they look so beautiful this time of year when everything is icy and cold outside. It would be nice to just pick up a bouquet and brighten up your home. This is pretty. Look how pretty that is. Look at those beautiful pinks. Oh, I'd love to paint those. And then there's other things too that they've got. Roses. Those are nice. Well, I'm back from the store and I've set up a little still life with a pomegranate that I'm going to be working on. So I'll put that over there. Whoops, almost fell off. Just so I can refer to that later on. And I've got my palette with some colors already mixed, my paper, which is going to be my Etcher sketchbook, and I've got a test paper here. So you've seen I've test swatched some of the colors already. But let's go ahead and start in. I'm going to start on the lighter color here, which is the inside of that kind of yellow fleshy color. I've done this in pencil. Usually I do a pen first, a pen outline, and then I will paint that in. But today I just thought I would do a pencil. Right now, while that's there, I'm going to fill in the little bit of the color on the edge here. It's a bit of a pink purple. Wet that a little bit more and add that on the edge. It's not quite as wet as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to bleed in to the yellow a little bit. I might be able to fix that a little bit later. Just wanted to drop it in there and have it blend in. It's not doing that. I kind of wet the edge of that. Really should never work backwards like that, but that's more what I'm looking for. Not a very harsh edge. These pomegranate seeds, if you have ever seen them or remember, are quite, kind of would say geometric. They have all these little bends and angles to them. They're not just round seeds, almost like kernels of corn. I'm trying out the new palette I've gotten from Jackson's, which I really like. It's got 33 wells in it, plus a larger mixing area. I really like that. But let me go ahead and get the outer shape of this. That's actually a little bit too dark. I want it a little lighter so I can work with it later. Again, you're always working light to dark with the watercolors, so you don't want to overdo it. Once you do, unless you pick it up right away with a paper towel, you're kind of out of luck. It's hard to get it off, especially if you have a dyeing color. There are some colors that are very strong and they have a lot of dye in them, and they just soak right into the paper. You're not going to get them up after that. That's too bad. Too bad for you. Lesson learned. Now I'm going to work a little more on the seeds themselves. Get them a little bit more delineated. And if you look, I don't want to really take it out of the display I've got for myself, but if you look at the seed, you can see part of it is a little light on the inside. There's that little seed actually inside the watery flesh that is lighter than the rest of it, so you want to kind of go around that. And remember, these have that funny shape to them. They have a little white at the tip, right, so that looks a little bit, taking a little bit more shape, although the seeds look a little bit too magenta purple for me. I'm going to see if I have a little bit of a redder color for these, because even for the main part there, that's a better color for that. While this is like this, I want to see if I can work a little wet and wet. I hope I've got it wet enough. Get some of the darker tones in there. Have some brownish tones that'll darken it a little bit more. There's a little bit of a reflection, so you want to make sure you have that reflection showing there. It's not completely dark, but then this middle part is a little bit darker yet. There's a little bit more brownish to it. Well, this may not come out perfectly. It's a study, really. It's to see how I can improve my art. Because I'm still learning. But the thing is, with the practice, you get better and better at it. Better and better. Each time you try something different or new. The whole idea of this lesson, though, is to realize that there are things around you that you can paint, that you can work with in the dull, drab winter months when there's nothing but snow and rain all around. And the important thing I'm trying to maintain is the angle, because some of these seed pods, have that funny angle to them. And if you convey the angle and the shape with color and shadow, that will give you the illusion of, there's one there too I missed, that will give you the illusion of the actual fruit in this case. Now I do intend to edit a lot of this out and just kind of fast forward through the video just to give you an idea of how this is coming out, rather than have you watch every single moment of it. See, now some of these look quite realistic, and the trick would be, once I add a little shadow to the edges here and underneath each seed, that's going to really bring it out and make it look like a real group of seeds. And really, this is it's not a photograph. It's supposed to look artsy, artistic. It's not supposed to look like an actual rendering. You know, sometimes you see people that do magnificent work and even colored pencil or other media that they use, and you have to hand it to them because they make it look really realistic. But I'm not going for that here. I'm going for more of a painterly look, more of a casual look. But I want to just depict it so that you know that it's a pomegranate. You know it's a piece of fruit. You're not looking at it and saying, well, what planet did that come from? Because we don't have them here on Earth. As long as you can recognize enough of it, that's what you want. You know, that's what I want anyway. You might have a different style, and that's okay. Everybody has a different style. That's what we want. We don't want everything to look alike. We don't want everybody's art to look exactly the same. That would be so boring. So I'm going to wet this again. Hopefully I'm not going to make it worse. You can always make it worse. Sometimes you overwork these things and they look worse than if you would have just left them alone. That's my problem. I tend not to leave it alone. Always got to rework it. Okay, now this is quite pink purple over here. See if I can drop some of that in. That's what I'm looking for. That little bit of, see how that looks like it's supposed to look like that? Up here, I want to see if I can get that little ring around there that it's got. It's got a little kind of ring around it. And I'm just going to drop in some shadow here. Sometimes the shadow will really delineate your picture. It will look very flat without the shadow. And even with the shadow, you probably have to remember to make it have some life. It isn't just a flat shadow. It also has its own life. Sections of it will be darker, sections will be lighter. Shadows tend to be very harsh with sharp edges, but not always. And even when you add it to these little teeny pieces, it gives it that instant depth And again, I'm not being precise. It's just a little hint of it. It's enough to make it look like it pops off the page. Providing you make your shadows pretty consistent. You don't want to have like really dark ones and very light ones, because you're assuming it's the same background. So you try to make them pretty even as you can. So that'll make it look a little more three-dimensional. A little bit. Not completely, but it gives you an idea of a pomegranate. You can tell it's a pomegranate. It didn't come out perfectly. Now I'm going to do just a quick wash for the background. And I think I'm going to drop a few little really, really dark lines in here, or dots if I can, that may help with a little detail. Don't be afraid to experiment with your paintings, with your color. Learn more about it. See what each color does when you add it. Sometimes, whoops, you goof up and oh well. Other times you'll come up with an effect that's really, really nice. And you'll use that. It kind of is a nice, pull that down more in the light, maybe you can see it there. It kind of is a nice completion there to the project. But the basic idea was that you don't have to wait until summer or spring to get some nice colorful subjects. If it's winter, if you live in an area where it's snowy and cold, you don't have to freeze to draw landscape. You don't have to settle for grays and whites. Use some of the resources you have available to you. Go to the supermarket, go to the greengrocer, get some of those nice colorful fruits or vegetables, whatever you like, house plants, and paint them. Paint them. The more practice you have, the better off you get, and you'll be better off in the summer when you have other subjects to expand. Well, I hope you liked this video. Please hit the like button if you did, and leave me a comment. I always enjoy those. See you next time.